The time is coming swiftly. The middle rounds are no place for the unskilled. Yet here you are, unprepared, you fools. This season you will find all kinds of foes, eager to watch your draft crumble with wasted picks. There can only be one ultimate draft kit. Only one that can bend them to its will. And it does not share power. You must wield the UDK and send your opponents back to the shadows. You shall not pass. On this chance to send your league mates into the deep. Fly, you fools, to ultimatedraftkit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Boo! I hate it. I'm sorry. We do have a show.
Yeah, we do.
Mike was
terrible.
Mike was so genuinely upset
Because it's part of the intro.
I know. There's an emptiness. There's a void.
When you're on
the
show
black of space
1751, there's expectations for what it sounds like.
I'm sorry. We'll get there. It doesn't help that we're recording 100-plus player profile videos on top of episodes this week.
Oh, because of
trying to get the voice all the way back to 100. Look,
yeah.
I would love to give the people another effort because the
people want you to fail.
They all remember the horrible, the intro that I tried to give them. But I know sometimes you know, so
That's why you hit with a
welcome in. Oh. So
give me that.
Thursday, May 29th, Andy, Mike, and Jason, the Fantasy Footballers. We've got some Who Am I we're going to play today. We got an NFL news to talk about. We have some mailbag to dig into, your questions. I have been very busy dismantling my Dynasty team. I think this is an important thing to get out into the public sphere that I am a changed man.
You really are.
And I think you believe it now.
Well, I have to believe it. You've destroyed your team. I mean, you are playing for 2028, brother. I still wonder if you go out and you start 2-0 by accident, you're going to be like, well, I've got assets to sell. I'm in. We'll find out.
Look,
I know you.
My team is naked. My team has nothing.
You have your house was it was built in like the late 80s.
Okay.
And now you're it's a full reno.
He's torn down to one wall.
Yeah, you got to keep one wall up, everyone, because then it is not a new build.
Let me explain by that.
Learn your construction laws.
His one wall is Kyle Pitts.
Oh, gross. And it is. It's gross and it is.
The foundation of your team is Kyle Pitts.
I want to say this. Yeah, Jayden Reed, Mike. Goodness.
Hold out Kyle Pitts.
I have a Kyle Picks is what I got. A ton of picks.
All right.
But it was time to tear it down. It's been, 10 or 11 years of this Dynasty League. I've been an all-in competitor for 10 or 11 years. I don't know what the math is on total wins over that stretch. I would imagine.
You're up there.
I'd imagine I'm near the top. Got a couple titles. Should have been more. Disappointed. That's the way it goes in Dynasty. I've always enjoyed the trope that I never have a draft pick. It's been fun. I'd like to keep that going. You want to know why I'm not? I could have won this year. I could have competed with the team that I had. Here's what I want to say that is actually prescriptive for people in Dynasty leagues. I love going all in. I love trading picks. People value picks way more than they value players in Dynasty leagues. I've seen that evolve in our league. It's the competition. That's why. Is the other teams in the league several of them have become elite to the point where I felt like I had a stranglehold on getting to the title
being
game.
really good.
Yeah, on being a top 2, top 3 team, which is all you can do. That's all you can do to try to get an opportunity for a title. But I feel like there's a handful of I made the decision because there's a handful of teams in the league that are just clearly better than mine. I can compete, but they're much better. And if I don't sell it now, and go all in, it's not going to happen. I was going to run out of assets. The Mike Evanses of the world aren't getting much a year from now. So it was time. Turning over a new leaf.
Congratulations.
Can't wait for 2028. 2028, I'm really looking forward to it. So, there you go. UltimateDraftKit.com. Head over there right now. 3 days.
This is the last show until it comes out.
3 days. Sunday, June 1st. Nearly time. So check it out. Also, sound effect I can't do right now, Mike, what you just did. But we're super excited. A lot of hard work has gone into this product, and we'll continue to go into this product all the way through kickoff. And so if you're not familiar, go check out all of the different resources that are now a part of the Ultimate Draft Kit at ultimatedraftkit.com. Here's our quick question of the day. We're going to play a little game.
Okay.
And I have a button for that.
I want to play a game.
We're all playing the game in the new video.
Mike is reacting to a new
We're
image.
all Jigsaw?
It looked like it. We really have no control over this.
Oh wait, no, but
this
Jigsaw's
company.
the guy. Who's the little puppet? Come on, nerds. Oh God.
I thought it was Jigsaw.
No, he's the mastermind. The little marionette puppet's got to have a different name, right? All right.
I'm sorry.
Move ahead. Now
I'm
I got to
sorry.
go Google.
Billy the puppet.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Billy the puppet. All
Hey,
right.
hold on. The Saw series,
The Saw series.
where if you're not familiar, some of the most devastating,
Violent,
movies
horrific.
the horror movies that we have out there, and the plan is being executed
By John Jigsaw Kramer.
and then he sends his friend Billy the puppet
Billy
to terrify people.
So to be fair, he was never referred to as Billy in any of the movies. That's just what the cast and crew kind of dubbed him.
Okay. No, we're okay now.
All better?
I was just like, if this is seriously in the canon, you're
Right.
like, it's me, Billy.
Mike.
Billy.
That
Couldn't
can't
handle it.
happen.
All right, we're going to play some Who Am I? I'm going to read you a clue one at a time. And you guys try to figure out who it is. You can lock in. Jason has proven that rule is he's completely exempt
Bro, I'm already locked in right
of
now.
locking in the guess, and we'll see. Clue number 1. You ready for this? See if you can figure out who this is.
Mhm.
I have never topped 1,000 receiving yards in a season in my NFL career.
Okay. My initial guess is still good.
I was going to say that's a lot.
Jalen Hurts.
Um,
Oh my gosh. You literally wrote down Hurts. I was making a joke.
that was his guess.
How did you What?
How did you do that?
We're in sync, Mike. That was absurd.
All right, clue number 2. You ready for it?
Yeah.
I have been a top 24 fantasy wide
Oh,
receiver
I'm out. I'm out, guys.
every year of my NFL career. So never 1,000 yards receiving,
Okay.
but a top 24 fantasy wide receiver every year of their career.
Okay.
Okay? What, you going to ask me a question? These are clues. They're capped.
I'm okay. Well,
Tell me more.
Continue. All right, continue on. So, wide receiver hasn't hit 1,000. Has always been a top 24 guy.
Yep. You got it?
Because of clue 3 here.
Clue 3, 33% of my career fantasy points have come from touchdowns.
Well, duh. I mean, that's if you haven't gotten 1,000 yards, but you have always been a top 24 guy, there's only one path for that. This is that clue. That should be a fake clue.
I had 10 total touchdowns in each of my last 2 seasons.
Okay.
Okay.
So each 10 in each, not a combined.
There was one name that was starting to percolate. Like I was like, could Cortland Sutton fit this
Yeah.
bill?
I don't
But-
think he's had.
But he's
He's
not.
had 1,000, hasn't he?
And
Yeah.
it's just he has not. He's also not been a top 24 fantasy wide receiver every
Yeah.
year. So it can't be him. Okay?
Okay. Clue 4.
Clue number 4. I will have a different starting quarterback than I had last year.
Okay.
Did that just eliminate one of your guesses, Jason?
Yep. I was writing someone down that I thought maybe would have been there. Different starting quarterback
for the new year. Are you having anybody come to mind, Mike?
I'm just looking at the NFL teams right now, trying to pull the
like
new
quarterback
quarterbacks.
swamps going on. I mean, there's always quite a few.
There's not a ton this year. Okay,
do
keep going.
we know how many years this player? We don't know.
No,
that
it's
yet.
not been in a clue yet.
Okay, because I've only got one guess floating around my mind.
Metcalf's been over 1,000.
Has to have been over.
He has
1,000.
to have been. Right?
He was the wide receiver 7.
Because that one came to mind too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
you want the 5th clue, or do you got your guess?
I've got my guess. I don't know.
Well, throw it out.
My guess is Jordan Addison.
Okay.
Touchdown machine.
I think that's
Oh.
probably a
quarterback
very
this
good
year.
guess.
Oh, I like that.
Not enough years
that's
playing
a
to where
great
he's
guess.
top 24.
Well, let's see if clue 5 helps you.
Because
All right.
Garrett's been over 1,000.
I think you're right. Because
Okay.
the 5th clue is I am not the wide receiver 1 on my team.
Oh, I'm going to lock in last round on Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison is the answer. Jordan Addison last year finished as the
I was holding out hope for Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah. 875 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. I think he had, 10 or 11 in his rookie season?
He had 10 both
He had to
years,
have
but he
10.
had
That
a
was a
rushing
clue.
touchdown last year. So that says 9 receiving on the graphic there.
Is Al more voice of God today? That was good volume.
Yeah, look at you. It only took thousands of shows for you to get
Like
your radio voice.
You broke in. You were in complete control of what you wanted to say, which is a huge step in the right direction.
I am the captain now.
Wow.
Wow. All right.
That was great.
The owl is flying today.
Yeah. So Jordan Addison, what is the 12 points a game last year? You got another quarterback that'll probably make Addison a value because you don't know what to expect from JJ McCarthy.
I think what's really
The touchdowns is difficult.
valuable from last year. Yeah. You don't like players who have a large share of their fantasy points coming from touchdowns, too large of a share.
You don't like it because the only two to have a higher percentage than Addison were Gabe Davis and Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Yes, it is not a great sign for, that's not a sticky stat. Touchdowns takes a lot of things to go right. Even great players who can get 13 touchdowns one year can turn around the next year and get 6. It doesn't mean they're not a good player. It's just what happened to happen on the field. But I do think that back-to-back quality seasons, even though they came via touchdowns for fantasy, what Jordan Addison proved last year was that he is a good wide receiver. He was my guy his rookie year because I believed from college this guy is really, really good. What he proved last year is he is really, really good. Now,
sure.
So going forward, I think he'll be a value because he's never going to be the number 1 on his team. Like you said, Andy, the unknown of JJ McCarthy. And so if you want to just bet on a guy who is a good football player, that's a bet I like making. I did that with Devontae Smith year after year after year to usual success. He's had some injuries, but it's just like if you know that they're a really good player at their position, it's a great place to start.
There are so many wide receiver 1s, like locked in wide receiver 1s on their team that will be tempting to take above Jordan Addison. So Calvin Ridley in Tennessee with Cam Ward. Do you like that? Or do you like Jordan Addison?
He falls into just where I was going to bring up of betting on the touchdowns for Jordan Addison. Like the rookie record for passing touchdowns is Justin Herbert at 31. Bo Nix hit number 2 last year at 29. And Sam Darnold was incredible. Sam Darnold was what, 35? Let me double check. Yeah, 35 passing touchdowns for Darnold. It's like I can't, as much as I like JJ McCarthy and think everything will be good for Minnesota, I'm not going to project 35 passing touchdowns for a guy who's never taken a snap.
If he were to throw 35 passing touchdowns, Justin Herbert would retain the most passing touchdowns for a rookie because JJ McCarthy is not one.
Okay.
I see your point, and I reject it on theory.
Where's the boom shakalaka?
Very fair. That is very fair. And
Mike doesn't even know what a rookie is.
Unbelievable.
What an idiot.
I did also say someone who's
There it
never
is.
taken a snap.
Yeah. You
But
went
yes,
there
he is
second,
not technically a rookie, but he was also not really getting in a ton of
man.
practices.
So much egg on his face. How embarrassing.
All right. Do we have another player?
No.
Oh, there's just one. Who am I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not.
What, do you need more?
I thought there would be 3 rounds or something. Get some points.
It's not you want to play
Either
a games.
way, I won. All right,
It's not
we're
you want
good.
to play a games.
All right, that's fair.
We're moving on.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, we got some insight into the availability of new free agent Stephon Diggs. The news coming out that he may be reasonably ready by week 4.
Gotta love that word, reasonably.
Now, I saw him. I saw him in a video. He looked very...
Which one? On the boat?
Yeah, on the boat. He looked
There's
pretty...
a boat video?
He looked pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Is this like a New York Giants boat video?
It's close.
It's the kind of video...
Yeah.
It's the kind of video you film when they pay you in advance on that new contract.
It's the kind of video that when your head coach is Mike Vrabel, you have to stand at the press conference to get asked about it.
Yeah, it was. He's having a good time.
Yeah.
Really, really
He's
good
just
time.
Is he supposed to be in camp right now?
It's funny. I thought when you were saying the video that you were going to say, I saw some video of him running or doing some stuff.
Well,
and
there
looking all right.
was some talk about him being without a brace and looking good, but he is, at least in this piece of news, it said like, hey, the hope basically was that Drake May would have a target in Stephon Diggs by week 4. But that really changes the way that I looked at Stephon Diggs' his total outlook. There's such opportunity for targets with Drake May in that offense, and he still will be one of those players that, I mean, we'll talk about him in week 3 on the waiver wire show or whatever. But I have a hard time without, I mean, if you have an IR spot and he ends up on the pup and you want to tuck him away,
I'm not into it.
it's just not. Like, what are you going to spend on it? If you can spend your last pick, tuck him on IR, sign a free agent after the draft, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'd do that.
Yeah, I often look with my last pick at guys that are on IR because it literally just, if I'm in the last round, I'm going to pick someone up off of free agency for free.
It also changes my view of Drake May because if you are taking a flyer on Drake May really late in the draft, I know you're doing it on rushing prowess, but like he
You still need somebody.
Yeah, he can't take the step forward without a premier target, and that was a big linchpin of like that'll be a differentiator for me between Drake May and some of the other late round quarterbacks I could take a flyer on.
So
because
Jay,
he might not start well. I mean, they're probably favored in a game.
For you, Jay, you were, I think you're the most bullish Drake May sleeper opportunity.
Yeah.
How when you went in, you're tweaking the UDK stats and everything because this is a pretty strong signal that like we won't even be playing the game. Is Diggs ready for week 1? Who are you putting your bet on for the best opportunity?
As far as in the wide receiver core,
Yeah. Because if he misses an entire month like that, someone could step up.
at the end of the year last year, and if you look at the progression of Drake May and the wide receivers, the decline of second-round pick Jalen Polk, who became irrelevant. But the second half of the year, Kayshon Boutte was actually doing work, and he was doing work with Drake May. That's the guy that I want to be the one to step up. Like Pop Douglas is – I think Pop Douglas is a good player, but if he's the primary receiver, he doesn't do enough with it. I just don't think he's got the talent. I also would love if Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams, what about him?
The unknown rookie that they drafted pretty highly this year.
3rd rounder.
A day 2 pick. If he steps up, that could help Drake May. You need someone to level up. And so I see Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams as the 2 guys that I want to be there to fill the void because those guys could surprise. And that's what you need. You can't they have to level up. They can't just Kayshon Boutte can't just do what he did last year and then have that result in Drake May being great. But I do think for fantasy purposes, for fantasy football, Drake May is a good late round pick. He's not viewed in the same tier as some of these other 600-yard rushing quarterbacks, but he is a 600-yard rushing quarterback. His 17-game pace from the game started last year was like 580 yards on the ground.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one when you don't have the weapons. And they obviously needed Diggs. That's why they paid him way too much money.
Yeah.
All right. Didn't love reading this. Giants head coach Brian Daboll said Malik Neighbors won't do much this spring. He's rehabbing a toe injury that has lingered since LSU. He said he did not have a procedure, but
get it out of there.
He is being smart. Just the toe.
You don't think he needs it?
Yeah, let's get it out. Which toe are we talking about here?
Yeah, that is the question.
I'll bet if it's like ring finger toe.
Yeah, get that thing out of there.
It has to be the least valuable
think the
toe.
ring finger toes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, not the middle toe.
Not the middle.
No.
You need the middle and the outsides.
I don't think you need the outside at all.
Oh, you got to have a pinky.
You do not have to have a
Oh,
pinky.
you got to, for cutting, you got to have
the second toe takes the place of it's the new pinky. When that
but if
happens.
you get rid of the second toe, then the pinky stays the pinky.
Can't cut that toe.
You can't cut that. All right. I would prefer all my wide receivers to have 10 toes, for the record. But if I could pick which one to get rid of, it would be the.
That's what if you had to trade a toe in.
You're
not trading your pinky in?
No,
I'm trading the pink.
No. You're
No,
You think I'm a fool?
I think you're a fool.
I think you're going to tip over.
For sure. If I'm pushing them on one side.
Mm-hmm.
After a week, my foot won't know the difference.
1 week, huh? He's a tough guy. I think I'd still be limping.
Mac Jones wouldn't be limping.
Oh, no. Other guys
my
might.
gosh.
But he's tough
He
as
has no
nails.
toes. He's fine. Tommy Tremble, back surgery, not expected to be ready for the start of camp for the Panthers. Okay. Kyle Pitts didn't show up. There were rumors about a contract situation for Kyle Pitts, but
Not bloody likely.
they said he is dealing with a foot injury. Also that's likely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it could be a little bit of a, you never know. It could be a mask for a, hey, let's have a conversation.
It's funny. Kyle Pitts is still so young. It's one of those things where it will always be a surprising age because of how young he came in. He's 24 years old, and Andy is selling. And he's got
Is he
Kyle
older
Pitts.
or younger than R.J. Harvey?
Oh, that's a great question. He's got to be 24.6. I'm on it.
Pull up Pitts' stats from last year.
Oh, R.J. Harvey looks like he's a couple months younger than Kyle Pitts.
Man.
Incoming rookie running back. But anyways, and so I went to make a trade offer, a bad garbage. I wanted to send you whatever, like a 2082 third-round pick or
No,
something
you
for
did
Kyle
send that
Pitts.
trade. It was awful.
Yeah, and I was just so surprised that he has played 4 full seasons. 4. I mean, he's been terrible for 3 straight years. Like that rookie year, 1,000 yards, there was promise. I mean, there was more than
Yes,
the
of course. If you're a
wasn't
rookie
even
tight
hope.
end at 1,000 yards, there is
It was
for
guarantee.
sure.
And then 3 solid years of not even getting 7 fantasy points, just worthless.
All right, and then more news on the contract situation for James Cook of the Bills. The quote from Sean McDermott was, James will be here when he's ready to be here.
What a brilliant.
That's just a quote for everything.
I feel
I'll
that
be there
way,
when I'm ready to be there.
Papa Josh does that every morning.
Yeah. I'll be there when I'm
like,
ready
"Are you
to be
coming
there.
to work today?" He's like, "I'll be there when I'm ready." And I'm scared of him. So, all right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with some mailbag. All right, you guys ready to answer some questions?
Yes, sir.
Mailbag.
Ooh, yeah. All right, lots of off-season questions coming in from the Foot Clan and jointhefoot.com. If you have a question, you can go to the website as well, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click that submit a question button or dial the voicemail hotline 302-464-TFFB. We got some voicemails, guys. Let's jump into one of those.
Hey, Fantasy Footballers, this is Brian from New York. I traded round 1, pick 10, and Bucky Irving for the number 1 overall pick for this year. Let me know what you guys think.
Goodness. Okay.
I think
So,
congratulations.
This is a dynasty trade of Bucky Irving in the 110, and you got Ashton, Jeanty. I think that's probably going to be the cheapest acquisition of Ashton Jeanty that we will see ever.
For context, right now the ADP 10th player off the board in rookie drafts is a player I like. It's a wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka, or if you go for the next
probably looking at the tight ends too.
If you're going for the next running back, it's Cam Scadaboo.
So, R.J. Harvey,
Wow.
what's his ADP?
R.J. Harvey's
It's going to be close to
See,
110.
that was the only thing I wanted to bring up, which, by the way, I think this is brilliant, a great move. If I had an applause button, I would have hit it. But if it's R.J. Harvey, if you did sub in R.J. Harvey for 110, and it's R.J. Harvey
I'll still
plus
take
Bucky.
I would rather have Jeanty.
I would too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to go that way, but that would be the only situation that I could see working well for both sides. Like, even if you make that trade, if R.J. Harvey's a thing and Bucky Irving continue, like, this is the best use of Bucky Irving possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We're in the middle of these video profiles about Bucky Irving. You look at the numbers from last year. Dynamic player, outstanding, but he's being drafted at the ceiling. Like if you take his best games when he was getting the majority of the work and you look at those over the course of a year, that would put him around RB9. And it's hard to expect an undersized back to get 20 opportunities a game, 20 plus opportunities. So
and stay healthy.
So you're looking at that and saying, hey, what's the best use of Bucky Irving? There are Bucky believers everywhere, and you should be a believer in Bucky.
You are a Bucky believer.
I am a Bucky believer.
You are 100%. Like, coming into this offseason, I had a little bit more skepticism than you. You've been all in on Bucky. But the truth is, he's being drafted as a running back 6 right now, and it seems like his
just too high.
ceiling in the current setup is probably like 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's ranked at 6 for me in fantasy finish, or 6 or 7. So you're drafting him, needing him to stay healthy, do everything he did. Don't be, disrupted by Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. Don't get hurt. Everything has to happen right. But you make this trade and you get Ashton Jeanty, a workhorse back for 10 plus years, built to be a workhorse back. It's just a home run.
Yeah, I love it.
Bill,
So
my goodness.
I saw another trade this
That
morning.
dude is carved from stone.
Yeah, not metal.
You can't-
Can you carve metal?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Tell me,
Yeah,
metal
look,
expert.
as the metal
Yeah, what
expert.
do-
No, you cannot carve metal.
Okay, sorry, that was
Dummy.
ridiculous.
That was a trick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
So he's carved from stone.
making sure you knew. How do they make a bronze statue then? That's not carving.
Let's
That's
keep
not
it on fantasy football. All right? Let's just focus here for the audience.
I saw a trade this morning. Somebody wrote in they traded away A.J. Brown
Okay.
and James Cook in Dynasty. This was off of our advice or conversations. They received back Chuba Hubbard
Okay.
and Malik Neighbors.
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
And I felt like that was a perfect execution of the 16 touchdown James Cook season, where I look at James Cook and Chuba Hubbard very similarly from an
Yeah.
output standpoint.
Even
age,
from a dynasty standpoint, with the new contract that Chuba has, they're not that far apart in age.
and then you turn Brown into Neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
fantastic.
So I'm a big fan. All right, we got another voicemail.
Hey, footballers, John from Chicago. Keeper question. Would you rather keep JJ McCarthy with a 16th round pick, or is it that much more valuable to keep Jayden Daniels with a 6th round pick? Keep in mind it is a 2 quarterback league. Thanks on the show.
It's a 2 QB league, and it's Jayden Daniels.
It's 100.
Yeah, don't overthink this one.
1,000% Jayden Daniels. JJ McCarthy, we're all believers here in the talent. I think he's going to do great things for the Vikings. I believe he could surprise and be an excellent top-tier pocket passer this year that's adding 200 yards on the ground, maybe, but he's coming off of a knee injury. The gap in fantasy points that J.J. McCarthy will score and Jayden Daniels because of how he plays is not overcomable from what you're giving up in the 6th round.
What round would I have if it was trading Jayden for a 1? Would you take J.J. in the 16th?
I don't think so.
In a 2 QB, I think I probably would do that.
I feel like in a 2 quarterback lead, Jayden Daniels is worth.
Oh, no, he'd probably a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
You're
No.
close there, man.
Which we do have a follow-up Jayden Daniels related question, sophomore slump question, which we saw with C.J. Stroud. Had a Stroud slump last year. But CM writes in over on X, any concern for Jayden Daniels in year 2 of the Kingsbury system? Not many added weapons and the league adjustments that happened in Arizona just have me curious if this might repeat. Arizona was it wasn't a great ride with Cliff Kingsbury in the offense. There were times when we were pulling our hair out here in Arizona with the run it up the middle approach and the lack of innovative play calling. It worked really well last year with Jayden Daniels.
Now,
and what does a slump represent for Jayden Daniels?
2 things. One, I think a sophomore slump absolutely can happen with Jayden Daniels. But the question of what that means, I don't think he can slump the way that C.J. Stroud slumped for fantasy purposes because of the rushing upside. If you're someone that can rush for 800 to 1,000 rushing yards, if you don't throw as many touchdowns, if you throw more interceptions, you're still going to be a good fantasy asset. You might not be a great fantasy asset because now you're being drafted high, and then you disappoint. So, okay, a little disappointing. There are also a few things stacked against him, namely the schedule. He had one of the easiest schedules last year in the league, and now that the gap between what he had rookie season going to sophomore year is massive. However, I don't have massive worries. The Cliff Kingsbury thing, Cliff
I have
and
the Cliff-
Kyler came together, right?
Yeah. So as much crap as
I think Cliff and Jayden came together.
No, I know, but I'm saying Kyler's best season was his sophomore year when he was the quarterback too.
As much crap as we give Cliff for his performance in Arizona, the first 3 years was just nonstop improvements from 5 wins to 8 to 11. The passing yards ranked 24th to 17th to 10th. Like the passing offense for Arizona improved each of the first 3 years that Cliff Kingsbury was in charge. It was they got to a point where everything totally fell apart, and it felt like, okay, the ceiling is there. Cliff can't get to the Super Bowl, so that's why they made the change.
And the thing about Jayden Daniels that just from an intangible standpoint is, the schedule doesn't intimidate me very much with Jayden Daniels. He was the same player on the road that he was at home, fantasy-wise. He was the same player in losses as he was in wins, fantasy-wise. He throws for more yards in losses. He more attempts, more opportunities through the air.
We just need him to turn up the speed on the VR.
Oh, for the
just make sure he's sharp.
Yeah,
I don't have any concerns.
No,
personally.
Yeah, and when you say they didn't add offensive weapons, I don't think Debo is the same as he was 2 or 3 years ago, but that's a pretty big addition considering what you had as your wide receiver 2, which was Jack Squat. And then I would also
I thought that was a person. Like Jack Squat.
Yeah, Jack Squat is over on lining up on the Y.
Right.
And now it's going to be Debo Samuel.
Friggin' Jack Squat always he lined up wrong on the play.
Got Jack Squat, we got do nothing over here.
This is a who's on first situation?
Yeah, it really is. And also, do not forget the inevitable halfway pivot of Zach Ertz catch and fall down
into
Senator. Ben Sinnott, the senator, who will...
You're saying for this year?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He will do his Trey McBride going forward. And then
there's only one way to guarantee 10 touchdowns for Zach Ertz, and Mike just did it.
Yeah, and additionally, they added Laramie Tunsil. That's a huge improvement for just the offense as a whole.
YouTube question from Arthair14. Do you think taking JSN in the third round is a good price to pay? Are we in on the offense in Sam Darnold?
Man, I'm gonna be vulnerable here.
Oh,
yeah. Mike, you have me scared about JSN. I was bullish on JSN. I came into the year really. This is a guy who, in his second year, he was, quote, drafted to be great. First round pick, first wide receiver off the board. In his second year, he was the wide receiver 10. Now you get rid of DK Metcalf, you get rid of Tyler Lockett. Like, JSN should be in the conversation to be a top 5 guy on volume. I think Sam Darnold, I was so hyped for JSN, and you made me feel the fool with your data. And I love a good data nugget. So why don't you explain what it is that scared me?
It just is a reminder of what the data study was that guys who break out in year 2, the market often overreacts, and then for fantasy purposes, and their ADP gets juiced up to a point where it's historically has not been a good bet. And it's not every single player fails. It's just that we move your expectation from a year 2 breakout goes a bit high, like this, like JSN into the third. Everything makes sense that it should work, but while you're running through those things, Jay, it's like DK and Tyler Lockett are gone. It's a brand new quarterback. It's a brand new offensive coordinator. It's like a lot of stuff has changed for JSN. He's clearly the one. He's a very talented wide receiver, but last year, just over 1,100 yards, a hair under 12 points per game. Can he elevate that multiple points per game? I'm not sure that can happen.
What would that mean to your fantasy team taking him in the third round?
Let me go look who's going around there.
Like when you talk about having hesitancy, I think Jason will be solid this year.
Yes.
I think he'll be very solid. It's just a matter of depending on the pick, if you went top end tight end or quarterback early or something of that nature, Jason's going to need to be your one.
I think JSN will end up being drafted even higher than the third round. The third round will be usually the old guys. It'll be the old great guys. It'll be Tyreek Hill. It'll be Mike Evans. It'll be Devontae Adams. Like those guys will
on
be the
underdog right now. He's going as the wide receiver 18.
Wow.
So behind that is directly behind Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, Tyreek.
That's
like,
really surprising because on Sleeper, I'm looking at Sleeper's ADP. So more of the home leagues. He is the wide receiver 12 in the second round.
Yeah, wide receiver 18, I'm in on that.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, if you're new to fantasy football or new to the show, when we say ADP, because we reference it so much in the offseason, that just stands for average draft position, and that is a marker of where players are going in mock drafts throughout the offseason on different platforms. So we use that as a guide of like, is this a value? Is this not a value? That's a pretty big disparity between those two platforms and what you expect from the player. So, wide receiver 18 off the board, I'm very cozy with that.
Yeah, I think that's okay. It's just how well will Sam Darnold actually do? Like I think that the Darnold variable is gigantic.
I think the question was posed, are you in on JSN with Sam Darnold? I don't know what it's like to be in on Sam Darnold permanently, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's a tough commitment. Like, I'm not.
Last year we got
does his
there
wife
being
wear
in on
her
him,
ring all the time?
but at the same time,
like when she goes to the games.
Like, is it a full-time commit? I mean, I just feel like that's a tough one with Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, the question, did Darnold level up or did Darnold get put in an amazing system? And while JSN, I think, is a great wide receiver, he is nowhere near what Justin Jefferson is to allow a quarterback to look better than he might be.
Well, it's like, the most common go-to guys of earlier on in their career, when you're watching them, you're going, did you know in those first few years that DJ Moore was a great player? Watching Terry McLaurin going, is that a great player? And those guys were super capped in terms of it felt like they would be, a perennial low-end wide receiver 2 forever, despite watching and going, that's a great player. Now, your evaluation might be JSN is clearly, I think he's a better prospect.
No, it's a really good. It's a really good argument.
So just look how you feel about those previous players and use that in your evaluation.
Further debate to come here with this question. Instagram from L. Kramer. Jauan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall? We have our rankings. In our rankings so far in the UDK, the disparity in where Mike has Jauan Jennings and I have Jauan Jennings, and then Jason's right in the middle, but it is like 20 spots.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll give you my perspective on him. I think Jauan Jennings is what is the type of animal that like eats the remains on a carcass when all the
vulture.
There's another word for that.
Scavenger.
Hey, Papa Josh.
Papa Josh coming through, biology degree over there. To me, Jauan Jennings is a fantasy scavenger.
Okay.
And so I have concerns because I think Ricky Pearsall takes a step forward. George Kittle is the primary target. Brandon Ayuk will come back at some point this year. And all the time Jauan Jennings was eating last year, and they were good meals, by the way.
Yeah, they were.
There was no Christian McCaffrey on the field. And so to me, Jauan Jennings is a super, super solid, capable wide receiver. But I don't have the same ceiling case for him that Mike does. And so I would take the shot on Ricky Pearsall for how I build my team archetype-wise. I want a shot at something that,
is great, not good.
Yeah, that even like if Ricky Pearsall was great, he could be a better target than George Kittle.
Yeah.
He could be the one receiving target. And I just want that shot at it where I feel like Jennings, I'm getting floor and injury help. But
you're saying that like Jennings, I think, has a realistic outlook of scoring 11 fantasy points a game, and that's really good. That for where he's going to drafts, that's fantastic. I don't think he has any shot of ending the season scoring 14 fantasy points per game in half PPR. But Ricky Pearsall, while he might project to score 9 fantasy points a game, be below Jauan Jennings, he has a shot. He has a chance to go out there and be that dude and, show that why he was a first-round draft pick with his hands, his speed, all that stuff. And so I agree with Andy. I would rather have Pearsall on my roster than Jennings. But I am in between you guys statistically. I think Jennings is a value in drafts. He just doesn't have a ceiling.
I will agree that the like Pearsall, if it worked out, that I think the ceiling would be higher. But I disagree that Jennings doesn't have a ceiling. Like, he was multiple games of 10-plus targets, 10 or more. Like, this guy was absolutely commanding volume. In the beginning of the year, when they had a actual healthy, functional Brandon Ayuk, like, Jennings was still commanding targets at that point. So I love Jennings in draft, and he's, I think, being very overlooked. Well, the ceiling is not top 12. I think that he will easily be the number one wide receiver for San Francisco.
All right, we'll take a break and jump into some more questions. All right, this question, it's a good one from Instagram. It is a concern that I have. Zach Robinson writes in, are there too many mouths to feed in Chicago when you talk about fantasy players being drafted? DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, Colston Loveland, Flyers on Roshan late in the draft. Cole Kmet is going to be, I'm telling you, he will be a touchdown vulture. They just paid him a bunch of money.
Scavenger.
And he's not, you're right, sorry. And he's just a good player, and it's annoying.
Luther Burden III, their rookie wide receiver.
So too many mouths to feed is really good for Caleb. It's not necessarily good for identifying value in fantasy.
Yeah, there are way too many mouths for everybody to be full. I think you can have two pass catching options, and it would seem the most likely outcome. You would just like, he was a top 10 pick last year, and now he's the wide receiver too. It seems like Rome should be the second best option in terms of a pass catcher. But that's, like, for me, I don't know if that's locked in because of the surrounding talent.
Keenan had 121 targets in this offense last year, and I don't think anybody would expect Burden to approach that at least in the wide receiver room.
No,
not 120.
The question really is, like, this year's top 10 pick, number 10 overall, Colston Loveland, a pass catching tight end. My argument against Colston Loveland versus Tyler Warren has simply been, in this offense, because of the mouths to feed, he can't be the number 2 target. I just don't see that as a realistic outcome with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze on the roster. So he's going to be at best the third target, and that's if Luther Burden is not very involved, and they're split in that area of the field.
Passing yardage, Caleb Williams, totals in your UDK projections right now.
Okay, I will look it up.
Does he get
to the
4K?
first 4,000-yard season ever?
I'll tell you where I have him after you tell me.
I have him doing it and doing it well.
Really?
I have him at 4,300.
I got him at 4,200.
I do not. I have him at 39.93.
Okay.
Oh, you did 39.93 is the knife twist in Chicago fans.
Man.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. Did you have anything to add there? I was just curious, like, if you got to distribute 39.93 across those.
Exactly. That's what really makes it difficult with those weapons if he does spread the ball around. And there's a good chance he doesn't. One of the things I really like about Ben Johnson coming in is I do feel like he does what really good coordinators do, which is design plays for people. Like, every play has, a first read or whatever. But a lot of times, like, you see this with Shanahan, you see this with McVay.
Scheme somebody open.
You're scheming someone open. And so, like, they did that a lot in Detroit. And I hope they do that here so that they can focus on DJ Moore or Rome Odunze, because I want one of those two guys to really excel for fantasy.
Mike, Instagram question from Nate. One of the wild cards.
Wild card!
Jayden Reed or a shot on Chris Olave this year?
I'd go Jayden Reed. If it were Derek Carr, that would be an easy, as fun as it is to poke fun at Derek Carr. I would much rather have him throwing the ball to Chris Olave than Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck, which is who it will be. The quarterback production is going to be very low for the New Orleans Saints. And maybe whoever comes in is like, okay, we're going to do the Malik Neighbors situation of Olave is going to get 30+% of the targets, and then everything can be okay. But I don't think that'll happen. So I will take the the part-time player which both very talented. Jayden Reed limited by his team, but I think he's still the wide receiver one.
Chris Olave, I think part of the discussion
He freaks
here,
me out this year.
I don't think we've taken a second to reflect on his game log from last year. I know we had the concussion twice, but before that, you're talking about a player that was out there on the field, and look, what was the truth last year? You lost Derek Carr at times, and you saw what Olave looked like without Derek Carr.
Like in week 8, where he had 14 targets, 8 receptions, and 107 yards with Spencer Rattler, like that.
That's what I'm saying. The targets,
Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore.
You're literally
Mr.
proving
Moore.
my point.
You just
41
picked 1 week out of 11 or out of 9.
41%. Great. Okay, if it's Spencer Rattler and we're going to get a 41% target share averaged out.
Snake, man.
Oh, Spencer, you're back.
If we
Terrible.
can average that out for that he's hitting 41%.
He's not been a touchdown
games.
guy
Who
either.
else are they throwing it
five
to?
touchdowns. Oh, Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
And
Brandon Cooks. Alvin Kamara.
Newly paid Jauan
also
Johnson.
Clearly the other team.
This is
Clearly.
Oh, please, Jameis this. Make them have to throw it more.
Jameis should be the starter.
Oh my goodness.
The
yes.
Saints would love it.
But you do have an injury risk with Olave too. That Mike. I don't think you mentioned that.
No, I'm just
Jayden
talking
Reed,
about
part-time player, better quarterback. But then Olave, if he gets concussed, which receivers do, you're done for the year.
Yeah,
you could be done for.
I'm saying to put them both on the field for 17 games, and I'll bet on Jordan Love.
If they were both on the field 17 games, if I knew for a fact they're both playing 17 games, I would back up a Brinks truck on the Olave side.
Okay.
Olave has always, even with other backup quarterbacks, his issue is concussion. I mean, it is a massive. You could say, but he's literally his last 17 rolling games, including games where he's completely been not actually in because he got knocked out of with a concussion. He's an A in consistency. He's not a guy that goes out there and scores 25 points. So you're not excited about him. But he's a guy that always has the targets, the volumes, the yards, and scores, the 10 to 14 fantasy points. So
they're very similar in points per game production in their career.
Yeah, but not in consistency.
No,
points per
but
game that's where
not,
Chris Olave, if I put him in my lineup week after week after week after week, he's helping me. And then Jayden Reed is like the 2/3 of his games are going to actively hurt me in my fantasy production.
Right.
I mean, he might help me win one out of every 3.
Olave has played he's played with competent quarterbacks. Like it was before Derek Carr, you had those couple games of Jameis, but then you had Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is a competent starter. He's he is where he is at this point of his career, but if I'm relying on a quarterback for fantasy, man, you put Andy Dalton on this team right now compared to those guys, this season is much better. Your future is not, but Rattler and Shuck freak me out.
It's a good question, and if you take I don't know. If you give me a guaranteed 17 weeks of Olave as the one and the snap counts that are 10, 15% higher than Jayden Reed, maybe that's the way I'd go too.
Yeah,
but I don't necessarily guarantee. And Jayden Reed's going to score more touchdowns than Olave this year.
Yes.
That will happen.
And
he's not vulnerable to getting shucked
yes.
on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
which we know is not positive.
No, we know that you thought it might be positive.
I'm still not sure, man.
But it's not.
The reason I picked that one game out last year of the game log is because that is literally the only single game that he played without Derek Carr. As far as he got injured and played like 3% of snaps in a different one, scored negative. But like the only game he was active for was that game, and he got 14 targets because he's open and he's the first read in the offense and he's good. And he's on the field, which is my favorite part.
The other 10 games with Derek Carr, competent quarterback, not really a good performance. He had a game here or there, but not very good.
Certainly,
and this is year 4
over the normal bar to help you.
Which leads you back.
I don't know if he plays for the Saints after this year. I don't think he's on
Olave?
the Saints. I don't think he's on the Saints.
If you're going to force feed him 40+% of the targets, 14 targets a game, that leads into further of, this the Malik Neighbors of last year. This is we got exactly what we wanted, and then Malik broke down. Where you're just like the guy, you can't get hit that many times.
Stevie wants to know on Instagram, what is your take on auction drafts?
Auction drafts are fun. I would dare say they are probably even superior to a snake draft for the simple fact that anyone can get whatever player they want. When you are in a snake draft, if you're when you get your spot, you know I'm in the back of the first, you can instantly cross off 5 players from your I'm going to target, I'm going to draft them. I cannot get them in a snake draft. You can in an auction. Like if you want to go spend up for those elite players, you are free to do so. It's like this is why we say Fab is for your waiver system. Fab is so much more superior than a rolling list of a rolling priority list. The problem is that those drafts take hours and hours, and they're just the snake draft is much faster. It's much easier to talk about. So it's fine. You want to play auction? Go ahead, go do it.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. We've played auction leagues before. It's a great way to go. We're all about fun. If that's the most fun for you and your friends, play that way. We have auction rankings. I mean, in the UDK, we have you can go in and dig into auction. We accommodate that. So, Instagram question: is Josh Downs a sleeper this year? Yes.
Yes, I would say yeah. How about you, Jay?
Yeah,
you love Josh Downs.
No, yeah, I do like Josh Downs. He's a good player. He's the wide receiver 2 there. I think he's a sleeper for where he's going in drafts right now. He should outperform that. The issue is like he's one of those guys where outproducing where he is drafted might not really matter.
Right.
That can't just be the sole barometer when we're trying to win a championship in fantasy football leagues, because it's like, oh, great, he was projected to where that wide receiver usually scores 6.8 fantasy points, and he scored 7.2 fantasy points per game. It's like, well, that still didn't help you, even though he outproduced. I don't know that the ceiling can be that high for any of the pass catchers for the Colts.
He was better on a points per game basis than Mr. Pittman last year, and he is going ahead of Mr. Pittman this year. So I think it's a good way to. I mean, he may be the one.
He might be. He's a good player.
He was at 10.5 fantasy points a game last year. I think Pittman's at 8.5. It hasn't Pittman's benefited from those massive volume years before, but I think Downs is definitely a sleeper. I think that's or a value, depending on how you want to.
He definitely has more yards after catch juice than Michael Pittman, which that's probably the way that the Colts are going to have to function.
Yeah. No, and he short area.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think he's a better player. I do. I think he's a better player, and I think if you can get a top option, even that late in the draft, 9th round, late 8th round, slot him in, get 10 points a week, I can live with that.
Yeah, when we've been in fantasy football long enough to know that there are certain situations every single year that get avoided like the plague because all of us project and predict it's going to be the worst possible case scenario, and it becomes accepted by everybody. They're like, this is gross. I want nothing to do with it. And then guess what is not gross? Daniel Jones goes in week 1 and has himself a great year. These things happen. You have to leave margin to be super wrong on things.
To have Sam Darnold to be good.
Yeah.
Now it feels like, well, yeah, I mean, he was a joke. He was a washout for umpteen teams.
That's a perfect example.
And then he goes in there and it's like, oh, no, he was
or Baker in Tampa when he started there and nobody believed in him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does happen every year. And maybe that's
look,
that's a point in your shut corner.
I will be betting against the Colts offense. That's what I will be doing. But when you're in these late rounds, just have some humility and be like, yeah, okay, I'll take Josh Downs a couple spots.
Since you brought up Shuck, I wanted to go.
He's been writing on this board for 6 minutes.
I was just curious.
I'm not wanting to throw a question his way.
He's not talking to the audience right now. He is looking directly into the mirror and talking to himself.
You know what, though? But that's a valuable process to help me be able to talk to people later. I was looking at Chris Olave without Derek Carr the previous season because Carr missed games then, and there were 6 games, 7.2 fantasy points, 18.8, 4.1, 13.1, 9.2, 13.1, averaged over 10.5 fantasy points a game. I don't know who the quarterbacks were.
that was going to be the next question.
Probably Jameis.
I didn't look into – was Jameis there last year?
Jameis is everywhere,
the year before. If it was Jameis, it would have been 28.4
Yeah, it
fantasy
would.
points, 38.6 fantasy points.
Yeah, you would not hear a
55 points.
single-digit game out of him.
Yeah.
Who's got
Someone
who has
start
Olave?
Jameis.
Who
like,
has Olave in Dynasty?
shut up.
But no,
we'll never know.
The Derek Carr. Wait, in 2023?
2023.
Okay, so 2023, Carr, at least what I'm seeing, started 17. But you do have some appearances by Jameis.
Oh, maybe it was 22.
22.
Oh, that's Jameis.
That's the Jameis
Okay.
Andy Dalton year.
Yeah.
I know the general managers are listening, or at least some of them. Please,
You know that they're listening.
please.
The Giants
Go
don't need him.
They don't need him.
Plenty of teams need him.
You do need
The
him.
Giants GM's listening for sure.
Well, yeah, so cut
Yeah,
him.
I-
Let him go.
He is looking
I
for
saw
Free
Hard
the man.
Knocks.
He's looking for insight.
So
And we are
please,
here for you.
One of you needs to start Jameis, not for you, but for us.
Right.
For the fantasy football fans across the world. He needs to be. There aren't, like I was talking with some buddies about how crazy it is that there aren't 32 good human beings on the planet that can play this position at the highest level. You got a third of the league that puts out trash football, and it is
At least
a
entertain
travesty.
your fans.
Is a travesty that you're putting trash out there when you can have the fun of Jameis.
Mason Rudolph is starting games in this league, and
Oh.
you could be starting Jameis.
Yeah, case in point. Who cares about W's?
He should be traded for 8 to 10 times a year.
Yes.
It should be on the fly.
I'm telling you, he should. The NFL should make a rule where if your starter gets injured,
Is
you're
Jameis?
allowed to. Jameis just sits in Kansas every Sunday
Just
morning.
real centrally
Wait,
located.
is that your central location?
That's my central location in
Okay.
the United States, and he's got a
He's got a
private
charter
jet.
ready.
He's ready. He's got all the jerseys, every team. He's in pads, but just waiting to throw that jersey.
He doesn't even wear a number. It's just his face.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's do it, NFL.
I guess that'll do it for today's episode. It's a great idea. We'll see if we can get it done. Pick up the UDK. It comes out on Sunday. We'd love to have you check it out. UltimateDraftKit.com.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.